Welcome to Living Wealthy Radio with your host, Teresa Kuhn.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Living Wealthy Radio, heard every Sunday at noon here on Talk Radio, 1370 AM, streaming live at talk1370.com. I'm Teresa Kuhn, helping you live wealthier. Resources are available for you at livingwealthyradio.com. Today's show is for all you men out there, and also for the ladies who have men in your life that you love. So are you a man over the age of 35? Did you know that 75% of men over the age of 35 are plagued with heart disease and diabetes and back pain, muscle weakness, arthritis? You are also likely to die 5 years younger than women and develop cancer more frequently. On the other hand, you're more likely than women to stay lean due to hormones and muscle mass and metabolic profile. Sorry, ladies, I know, it's not fun. So why is it that so many men suffer from obesity and higher risk of disease and low testosterone levels and decreased stamina? Is this due to pharmaceuticals or steroids? Are these the answer, or is there something more effective and simple? Dr. John Puma, an expert at helping men and women, but especially men, regain control of their health through proper diet and fitness practices without relying on drugs and hormones. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thanks, Teresa. It's great to be with you.
Thank you. So what you're doing today, your background, you are a medical doctor.
I am.
But your focus is staying away from pharmaceuticals and regaining health using nutrition.
As much as possible. I think I do prescribe conventional medication as well, but I probably write as many recipes on prescription slips as I do actual pharmaceuticals.
How awesome. And there certainly has been a direction for medical doctors are certainly going towards that direction today. And so what's your background? What caused you to balance out your practice with writing prescriptions for recipes instead of drugs?
I went to cooking school about 15 years ago, and I did so because I was way overweight and out of shape myself. I had a pretty high-stress job and loved it, but it really got to me. And I realized that I needed to learn more about food because I was killing myself with it. So I went to cooking school, and when I went back to medical practice, I helped Michael Roizen start the Real Age bin site and books, and we wrote the Real Age Diet and Cooking the Real Age Way together. And then I moved to California, where I live now, and began integrating food and medicine together because it's a place that's crazy about both, and started Chef MD as a media company and did that work with Lifetime and PBS for a number of years. So it's been a personal transformation and a personal goal of mine to help men become healthy. And I noticed this about 10 years ago when the Washington Post interviewed me about my medical practice, which, as you say, is unusual. And because I see so many more men than most physicians who specialize in lifestyle and nutrition, there had to be something special about how I was approaching it that men were responding to. And it turns out that men really need a different and very specific, gender-specific approach to lifestyle management and to getting healthy and strong and building stamina. That's quite different than the approach that women need, which in general is more process-oriented, more nutrition-oriented, more recipe-intense, more diet-centered. Men need an approach that leverages their native metabolic advantages, as you implied in your opening statement, and allows men to take advantage of the muscle cells that we build easier than women. Of course, that isn't fair, but it is genetics.
So I'm a little confused. How is it different? How is your approach different with females and men? You said females are more process-oriented and men require something a little bit more specific that leverages on how their bodies are designed. Can you be a little bit more specific on that?
Yes, of course, these are big generalizations, Teresa. In general, men really like a directed, focused, programmatic, please do this for these number of days. In my program, it's 24 days, so the first 3 days you eat 50 grams of carbs a day, you use a 6-inch plate, you drink citrus water and not booze, and at the end of day 3, you measure. That kind of very prescriptive approach that's direct and tangible and tactical is one that many men respond to almost intuitively as a way to say, okay, if this is what I need to do, then let me do it. And not, whereas women more often are interested in many of the reasons behind doing those things that I just mentioned and are really curious about the ingredients and often how they're processed and where they're from. Obviously, these are big, broad generalizations, but men tend to like a tactical approach that uses their own metabolic advantages, and that's what we provide in Refuel, and it's why men have been so successful with it.
And Refuel is your New York Times best-selling book.
Yes, this one hasn't hit the Times best list yet, but with your help, I hope it will, because men really need it, as you pointed out in the opening. Men not only die 5 years earlier and get more cancer than women, but get diabetes earlier, have 92% of the workplace deaths, have 4 times the suicide rate. It's really remarkable that men's health hasn't gotten much attention, but here in June, this is Men's Health Month, and Father's Day makes us think about all the things that are important to us as men, whether we have children or not. And I think that it's the exact right time to say, look, your health matters. It matters not just so that you can preserve and build wealth, but also because you can take care of family and others better. You can be kinder and more compassionate and stronger and have more stamina. You can become more of a man if you, in fact, are healthy. If you're not healthy, you can't do anything.
I'm sure most of us have seen the advertisements, either online or in the airplane magazines, of a before and after picture of a man before hormones, after hormones. And the advertising is for hormone therapy. But you're advocating becoming healthier, increasing your stamina through food and not hormone replacement therapy. Is that correct?
That is correct. I wrote a New York Times op-ed earlier this year that is entitled "Don't Ask Your Doctor About Low T," and it seems to have catalyzed this discussion about low testosterone and the really aggressive marketing that pharmaceutical manufacturers have put on television and everywhere, from ESPN to NBC to online, that makes men feel inadequate if they have some of the normal signs and symptoms of aging. And I just think that's wrong. Men's testosterone levels are declining over time, but the primary reason for that is that the belly fat that most men have is not just a muffin top or a beer belly. It's actually an estrogen factory. Men's visceral fat converts the testosterone that their testes make into estrogen, so they both have a lower testosterone level and a higher estrogen level, but they don't have low T because they have a hormone deficiency. They have a lower testosterone level because they're overweight. But there's a way out of that, and the way out of that is to begin to eat foods that raise your testosterone naturally, to do exercises that raise your testosterone naturally, and to manage stress and sleep in a way that lead to optimal functioning, not to feeling drugged and like a lump, like too many men do. And a lot of folks don't know about the testosterone medication is that it often shuts off your own supply for good and shrinks testicles into little marbles, and is something that can rub off on women and other partners that we love. And that affects them in very negative ways, and so much so that there are black box warnings about it, not to mention the recent FDA investigation, which is still ongoing, into heart attacks and strokes caused prematurely in men, apparently, by these medications. So men can do better than this. Men don't have to rely on drugs. Men like doing things themselves, and food and fitness and getting strong and building stamina, having good sex drive and having sex, period, are part of being a man. And when men learn how food works in their body, when they learn how to conduct themselves so that they eat for energy and fuel, not just because it's there and it's time, it really makes a world of difference. And I have such great stories of men who have called me from the bottom of the Grand Canyon with the number of steps on their pedometer, who no longer need seatbelt extenders on an airplane, or have to now push their car seat forward because they lost their belly and they need to be able to get closer to the steering wheel. It's just really amazing the kind of progress men can make, and they do this not just for themselves, but for their families and for the idea that they really want to be good men, and that this is part of being a good man, being a healthy man.
So for women, there are many different types of body styles or body profiles. You've got women who carry their fat in their bellies, and women who carry their fat in their bottoms, and others more top-heavy, shoulders, breasts. For men, is it typically they carry most of their weight in their belly?
Yes. Men carry their weight in their belly.
Okay.
Women, as you point out, carry their weight everywhere they don't want to. But men only carry their weight in their belly, and that's only biologically determined. And that's why that muffin top is actually an estrogen factory, because all that visceral fat inside takes the testosterone that testicles make and convert into estrogen, as I mentioned. But you can do things to counteract that. That doesn't have to be. You can actually lose that belly fat that is working as a hormone-producing organ. You don't have to let the extra sugar and starch that's killing men with heart attacks and low T kill you. And you don't have to wait to do it either. You can make significant differences in just 24 days. It just starts you out. But in our program that we presented at Stanford, 62% of men lost 10 pounds or more, 67% picked up greater energy, and 3/4 increased their muscle mass and got better sleep quality.
Which is
and we didn't do anything except say, here, for 24 days, we want you to eat 50 grams of carbs a day for 2 days in a row. That's it. And then eat sensibly. Make vegetables a bigger part of your life. Don't deep fry, batter bread, and disguise them. Just eat simply, eat lower carb vegetables, eat cauliflower, eat broccoli, eat Brussels sprouts, eat spinach. And we give recipes. In fact, the spicy teriyaki broccoli is making me salivate even as I talk to you. There's a wonderful sirloin asparagus with grilled sirloin steak with grilled asparagus. There's the only guacamole you'll ever need. There's a cauliflower popcorn, which is awesome, that people are eating like popcorn, I understand. Roasting cauliflower until it's sweet and caramelized for less than 20 minutes with a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, and Parmesan Reggiano. There's a great roast chicken dish that I actually modified from Per Se, with the famous New York restaurant, with lemon and garlic juices, with just 6 ingredients, including the chicken and black pepper. It's just awesome and very easy to do. Even if you don't cook, there's a whole chapter on how to decode a menu so that chefs speak to you in the language that you understand instead of the language they understand, so that you can employ my 11 strategies for restaurant survival, cuisine by cuisine, Chinese and American and Mexican and Italian and so on. This is really a lot simpler than most people think, and the magic to refuel is that it makes you feel better right away. That you can boost your testosterone with what you eat and how you live if you believe, as I do, that food is fuel and that you don't have to be drugged. This is a way for men to become better men.
It sounds so simple.
It is simple. But men haven't really been given this kind of information before. Almost all diet books are written for women. And with good reason. Women are really much more interested, generally speaking, than men are. And men often have not been schooled with the idea that food really makes a difference in their energy level, in their stamina, in their strength, in their sleep quality, and even how they manage stress. So I asked men to eat more cruciferous vegetables because it blunts the estrogen in their body. I asked men to get enough vitamin D3 because if you raise your level from 40 to 50, you increase your testosterone level 10 to 15%, and that helps you burn calories as well. In fact, losing 8.5% of your body weight, which in a 200-pound guy is 17 pounds, losing 8.5% of your body weight raises your testosterone level about 15%. Avoiding the toxins that are on those gas station receipts and other kinds of thermal paper receipts that are impregnated with a chemical called bisphenol A, which is now being taken out of baby bottles in the United States and has been taken out of baby bottles in Canada and in some parts of Europe, is also really important because that acts as an estrogen in your body, not something you want. Same thing for the linings of cans. So I show you how to look for BPA-free vegetables and to take that receipt and fold it up and make sure that it doesn't touch any surfaces. And use an electronic receipt instead of getting a paper receipt whenever you can.
You know, I think there's an estrogen epidemic, really, if you look for men and women, right?
I quite agree. And it's in the water, and which is why it's another reason it's so important to filter your water. I personally have a reverse osmosis system, and I think they're the best kinds of systems to take the toxins out of water. But even if you don't have an RO system, a good filter for water, and Brita makes good filters, takes out a lot of the estrogenic chemicals and even pharmaceuticals that are in the water that can change sensitive people's metabolism. There are really easy, simple things to do, and the way to do this is to just start at the beginning, take one step, and then take another.
Man boobs, that's a symptom of having high estrogen.
Moobs, as we call them.
Moobs, right.
Yeah.
And if you look around, you see more, and at least I've noticed, more and more men, you know, with moobs. And you guys can get away with carrying a lot more fat than women. And I think that's why women as a society, right, women and our bodies, you know, we're more fixated on, you know, fat in our bodies and how men respond to us when we're heavy. And men can get away with a lot more weight, which I think also creates part of that problem where men aren't as motivated to lose weight because it's not as much of an issue. It's not as much as a body issue. But really, your whole program is about the health aspect of it, not necessarily the aesthetic, but the aesthetic is certainly a benefit. If you look better, you're going to feel better.
Absolutely. And I think looking better and feeling better are two sides of the same coin. I also think it's underestimated. Men's body image, ideal body image, is underestimated as in importance to men. Men actually like looking better, even probably more than they like feeling better, because they don't know how good they can feel if they're saddled with extra body fat and are just used to carrying it around. I think men can get away with it aesthetically because men aren't judged on their appearance as much as women are, as unfair as that is in our society. But they can't get away with it in their 40s and 50s and 60s, when what happens is that heart attacks catch up with them, diabetes catches up with them, strokes catch up with them, early cancer catches up with them. And the way that they're being hindered now is that their energy level is not quite what it used to be. And that's because their pipes generally are stiffening. Atherosclerosis is the disease that allows arteries to become inflexible and gives you heart attacks and strokes, and also gives you erectile dysfunction if you're a man. It's the same process, except the penile artery is about the size of a drink stirrer, and a coronary artery for your heart is the size of a pencil. So the erectile dysfunction is actually not a testosterone problem. It's a hardening of the arteries problem. And that also can be reversed with what you eat and how you live. If you eat more plants, if you stop the soda and the sugary drinks and the sweet tea, if you get the starch out of your diet as much as you can, if you don't buy food that lies to you, that promises you benefits that can't be realized,